You are listening to the Marketing 32 Show with your host, Brett Allen.
Hi, Brett Allen here, host of the Marketing 32 Show, where I connect with leading dentists, dental influencers, and experts in our industry to uncover the latest and greatest, share with you guys the innovations and insights you need to grow your practice. This episode is brought to you by always our team here at Marketing 32. We are the only dental marketing team that I know of that is fully invested in your growth, or we don't get paid. That's our performance guarantee. If you are interested in marketing, need help with growth, and want a team that is ethical in their approach and truly results driven, reach out to us at Marketing 32. We'll have a quick conversation. Get you straight. We don't work with everybody, but we can have a conversation and see if it'll be a good fit for both of us. Quick shout out to Dr. John Montoya of Dental Purchasing Partners. Recently had him on the show, talked about his awesome platform and how he connects his club of dentists to get awesome discounts in the industry. Go check that episode out to learn more about Dental Purchasing Partners. Excited to have a new friend on the show today, Callie Ward. She is a dental professional with over 30 years of experience dedicated to helping dentists enhance patient care and practice management. As a business development consultant at Dash Dental Consulting, she focuses on strengthening leadership and communication, vital for a successful practice. Many dental practitioners struggle to balance excellent patient experiences with effective business operations, often facing issues like low case acceptance and missed appointments. Callie understands these challenges and employs proven strategies to foster relationship-driven results, helping practices achieve greater fulfillment and success. Committed to authenticity and care, Callie empowers dental professionals to thrive with their teams and deliver exceptional patient experiences. I butchered that. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Callie, welcome to the show. Excited to have you on.
Well, thank you so much, Brett. I'm just thrilled to be here, and it's taken us too long to get to this point, so I'm excited. Let's dive in.
Yes, I'm glad we got introduced as part of the network of dental professionals here in Denver. Excited to have you on and talk more with you and what you gained in your experience over 30 years in dentistry. So why don't we kind of start there, your story? Like, how did you get into dentistry? And then walk us through to how you got into consulting.
Okay. So the year was 1992. I was, at the time, a flight attendant for Alaska Airlines.
Really?
Moved from Seattle to Eastern Washington and knew that I wanted to start a family. So I knew that I just was not gonna, I couldn't leave my kids for 4 days at a time. So looking for something closer to home, and a friend of a friend there had a dental practice who was looking for somebody to hire. And I fell into dentistry, and what I absolutely loved was the heart. I loved the people. So I was in a very small town in Eastern Washington, and the patients became your family, and you knew their family's family. Like, the circle just got bigger of the connections. And I stayed with that doc for about 10 years, decided that I needed to go back to school, went back to school, got my master's degree in education, taught for about 3-4 years, and then decided dentistry was where it was at. I was going back. And I have managed single locations, multi-locations. I've worked with teams as small as like 4 or 5 team members up to 30 plus team members. I kind of transferred into the consulting world when my youngest child graduated high school. I had done, I think, every report for that practice and cleaned up everything that I could, that I was bored. It was just, I wanted more. And I was starting to understand, and I like to gamify things. I was starting to understand the game of dentistry. So it's not, to me, it's not just, the day in and the day out, but the business side of it was intriguing to me. Kind of fell into consulting, had a friend who did it, was like, man, what do you do? That looks so fun. And I was with Productive Dentist Academy for about 8 years. Loved my time with them, but knew that I really always feel like we need to walk the talk. And so if I'm working with entrepreneurial dentists, I should be more entrepreneurial on my own. And so I had to take a year off, worked with Support DDS while I was off for that year with my non-compete, and then I opened my own consulting. I think that was like 2022, 2023, somewhere in there. And Dash, who my company's name is actually my grandma name. My grandson, who turns 9 this next week, named me Dash. And
Oh,
it
awesome.
it really fit in to something I'm passionate about, and that is we're born and we die, and what's in the middle is our dash. And
Hmm.
what do we do with that dash? And I go back a lot, having been in the trenches, and I think of, I it was a great job to be a mom. It was a great job. It was, consistent. Like I loved my job, but it wasn't feeding me. It wasn't filling my cup. And I was working with providers that weren't necessarily in that mindset of having their team work on the business, right? And we were more looked at as clock punchers, which we need, but
Hmm.
we weren't involved in the process of growing the business. And so once I kind of got into the management role and started seeing that side, became so passionate about helping the people who show up every day. How do we help them fill their cup? Even if their role is one that's kind of limited, right? Like there's only so many positions in a dental practice. But
Hmm.
what blew me away, having worked with so many different dental practices now, is we all have the same challenges. We all have essentially the same business, and there's different models, there's different sections of it, but how differently we solve those problems, how different the results can be based on the culture of the practice, the
Hmm.
engagement of the team, the systems that we have. I mean, there's so much. When I came into it in 92, it was a book that we were scheduling. I was the technology girl
Yeah.
taking the paper chart and putting it into the computer. You do things the way that you were taught, but you don't necessarily understand why do we do it that way.
Right.
And in coaching, I started to learn, well, why do we do it that way? And what if we tried it a different way? Could we possibly see a different result? And that really became fun to look at the data, get the real numbers, like base our decisions on facts, but then go, well, what if we tried this? And to
Yeah.
work with the team that they're telling me what their solution is, what they could try differently, as opposed to me telling them what to do. So
Mm.
it kind of it goes really well with teaching in the sense that I can't dictate to the students, this is what you do. If I want it to stick, if I want them to think outside the box, I have to ask questions that lead them kind of where I'm looking to go, but oftentimes they come up with answers that I wouldn't have. And
Mm.
when
Mm.
they collaborate on that system, when they collaborate on the solution, they're more likely to do it because I wasn't just telling them what to do. And so I love helping people feel great at the end of the day. I help the docs, learn how to communicate. I think they're really, really great at dentistry, but there's a whole human being behind that mouth. And how do we help them connect to the human being first before we go to dentistry? Because that's where we see
Yeah.
impacts. And that's how we see team members continue to be passionate about their practice and not leave.
Yeah.
COVID was brutal in the industry. And I think the docs that are successful, that are really seeing success, are the ones that are able to create a culture that their
Mm.
team is engaged, wants to show up and look at the patients as if they're their patients.
Yeah. I love that. The game of business, you talk about, well, there's this problem. How do we solve it? And do we have to keep solving it the same way we've always solved it? Um, yeah.
Which is the irony, right? Because it takes a special person to be able to hire a coach or a consultant, right? Like
Mhm.
it's somebody holding you accountable. It's uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. But the reality is, if you've tried all the things that you know how to do, all the tools you have
Mhm.
in your toolkit, and you're still seeing the
You're
same
still
results,
stuck or yeah. Mhm.
yeah,
What
you
do we need
kind of
to
need
change?
somebody
Yeah.
else's eyes. And to me, consulting is kind of like raising teenagers. If I did my job right, they're going to leave and be successful on their own. They can always come home. We can always have a meal. We can always realign kind of a thing. But if I did my job well, they don't need me. And that's different than I think there's a lot of consultants out there who want to be needed, who want to be right.
Mm, yeah.
And I just want to get them excited, line them up.
Empower them. Yeah.
Yeah, and get
Well,
them
that's a
fired
good
up
coach.
to
I
be
think,
happy.
yeah, I think that's the nature of a good coach, right? You empower people. Um, I grew athletics. I was athletic growing up. I was a swimmer in college, All American, and I recognize the value of coaches in my life. I have a coach in business. I've had coaches in relationships. There's and I think you glean from the experts or somebody who's been down the road before or studied and it has that experience. You gain insight in a vision that you don't have intrinsically, that you just, it's so valuable to learn from others' experiences. So
Yeah. Well, and we find that the team already knows what the solution is. You go to a dental practice and the years of experience that they have in the room, they have the answer. They just don't know how to articulate it, nor do they know how to kind of percolate that to the surface, or we don't have a safe culture
mm,
where they're
hmm
willing to be vulnerable, which is another whole piece of it. So I love the sports analogy because it's so true. Like I think about when I'm coming in as a coach, we're spring training and we're going back to all the basics. We're going back to the defensive drills. We're going to the offensive drills. Like we're starting off repeating what we already know, but then we stack those habits on top of each other and we start to build the culture. And
yeah,
to me, it has to be in positivity. We tend to work in the practice, not on the practice. There's oftentimes we don't dedicate regular, consistent team meetings, which how are we going to see something implemented differently if we don't give ourselves an opportunity to kind of work through it? Like
sure.
we have to do that. So kind of helping them just with structure, like what opportunities do we have for team trainings? Do you cross train? Does everybody or do we have the same person leading every meeting and nobody hears them because it's just
Yeah.
because it's what
What's the intention of the meeting? Just having a meeting to have a meeting, it doesn't do anything either.
right,
Um,
right.
well,
So it's
let's
just
talk
lots
about
of pieces.
the the process and methodology you use with your clients at Dash Consulting. Walk us through what it's like to work with you. What are some awesome results that you've achieved? Tell us more about your process.
I love working with people who are willing to do something differently. So that's like a qualifier to be able to play in the game. Are you willing to be uncomfortable? Because that's change is uncomfortable. And then looking at what do they know and what do they know about their real data? Like, do they understand and not just the doc, but we need to understand, just because we produce $100,000 in a month doesn't mean that is what the profit is. So understanding the business side of it, we don't have to give absolute specifics, but I want to communicate what that vision of success is. Like, why are you bringing me in, and what do we hope to accomplish? Like, what's the end all? Is it a certain production amount, collection amount? Is it that the doc wants to work less time but be making the same amount of money? Like, success can be different for
Mm,
everybody.
yeah.
And then for that doc to be able to communicate that with the team. Maybe it's a new practice. They can't offer vacation or medical coverage right now, but that's something in the future I'd love to be able to offer. Those are the kind of things that we can communicate with the team so they know what that vision is. And then looking forward to, this is our starting point. These are the KPIs, so the key performance indicators that we want to affect. And maybe it's the collection amount. Like bottom line, we've got to get more money in the jar. Well, then we go back and we look at systems. And if their systems are already working in a certain area, I'm going to go to a system that isn't working, right? Like we're not going to fix something if it's not broken. But we have to analyze. We have to look at all that data to know what is the data telling me? What's the story that I'm seeing? And then we identify opportunities for different behavior to see a different result. I've worked with huge practices, tiny practices, scratch starts, mid-career. Gosh, I'm going to retire in 5 years and I don't know, do I want to sell to a DSO? Do I want to sell? Do I want to
Yeah.
bring an associate in? So a little bit of everything. And really the most fun, the most successful are the ones who are just willing to try, to
They're willing
experiment.
to, yeah, take
Yeah.
your feedback and your insight and try it out.
Yeah. Or participate. Go ahead.
What are some of the most common things that you experience in your experience? What are the common uh ceilings that people butt up against? What's the cause? Like what are some of the common things that people deal with?
I think a lot of times we find providers who don't have strong leadership skills
Mm.
or they don't have strong business skills. So we don't have systems in place. That's an
Mm,
easy fix. It's
right.
really easy to implement a scheduling to goal. It's really easy to implement, a clean revenue cycle management system, like where all the all the problems that can come from that. So it's kind of that analysis. But looking at who's successful are the ones who don't expect it overnight, who are willing to celebrate what we're learning as we're learning it. So huge thing for me is morning huddle. We look at yesterday, what was great about yesterday, who can we shout out? When we start acknowledging our team for doing the job that we hired them for and not ignoring the quiet one because they're always dependable, they're always there, but we never say anything to them. We only focus on the negative, right? That that philosophy leaves a lot of people feeling not seen. Whereas if we start to generate that positivity and acknowledging our team, and it's not just the doc who has to say, hey, Mary, you did a great job yesterday. I want my team catching their team doing a job well done. And when we start in positivity, neuroscience supports it. We're creating a culture that we're more likely to try and do something differently because it's a safer environment and we fail. And so we
Mm,
look at yesterday, what was great, who can we celebrate, and then where were our opportunities? If we're implementing a scheduling to goal and I had inadvertently scheduled a root canal right next to extraction and the doc's double booked, it's not going to work, right? We're gonna run behind schedule. But if they don't ever unpack that challenge as a team
it'll happen
of
again.
that,
Yeah.
it'll happen again. And
Yeah.
that's where it's just helping them learn how to communicate in a way that is healthy, clear expectations. It makes it easier to hold people accountable. I help them create SOPs. I help them create what their system is. It becomes more repeatable. When we have those opportunities on a regular basis to unpack things, we don't tend to have the big explosions.
Mm,
So that helps them start to feel comfortable. Okay, I know we've got a meeting next week. I'm going to put my name on the agenda. It's going to take me 10 minutes. Maybe I just need to show two of the team members how to break down the room the way that we want them to, right? And so
yeah.
you're just identifying training opportunities and we track those on a list. It's not rocket science, but it
Yeah.
now we just start to have clear guidelines of when we can talk it through to be able to
Yeah.
implement something new.
Yeah. I love that. I think you look at these practices that are just crushing it, the multi seven figure practices that have awesome, like you go into the practice and it's like an awesome team. The ambiance is amazing. And it's like, these are the practices that get all the word of mouth referrals because they've just got a great patient experience. And it doesn't just happen by accident. It's
Mm-mm.
it's it's a choreographed, calculated. It doesn't happen overnight, but it is a planned, business. And it people are there are leadership roles and people are assigned roles and everybody understands what the SOPs are. It's a well-run machine and you don't just get there on accident. And I think a lot of times dentists get into dentistry because they love people, they love the art of dentistry and the financial component to it that's possible. But like
But I think
everything in life, you don't have, like, you have to learn, you have to develop the skills and the
right.
team, or it's not going to
And
happen.
And it's the team, right? When you think of, okay, maybe I'm a provider and I don't want to lead the team. Maybe I don't want to be the manager.
Mm.
Delegate it. We have
That's
to
okay.
have
Yeah, that's
somebody.
okay.
Yeah.
Have somebody that
Hire
compliments
somebody that
you.
that's their strength, right? Like you want to pair that, but we have to be really clear with those expectations and set that person up for success. And look at, there's no judgment if you're not a naturally born leader. You,
Hmm.
as the owner, you're going to have some expectations of showing up in a certain way, but you can hire a team
Yeah,
member, an office manager, to
100%.
be that person. And when I think of docs too that are maybe mid-career, maybe they've brought on an associate and they want to kind of back off and they want to practice running maybe without them being the forefront. To do that, we just have to know we've got that leader in place guiding the team, holding that consistency, holding that accountability, um, so that we continue to see that. Like I've seen
Yeah.
so many docs who have phenomenal practices and then they're getting close to retirement and they brought in an associate and they're like, I'm not showing up for morning huddle anymore. I'm just going to come and do this and go out. But they didn't intentionally
They
replace
didn't.
that
Right.
leadership and they flounder, and it's
Hmm.
nobody knows who to go to for what, and morning huddle is haphazardly happening and they lose that momentum, and it's frustrating for them. Like, what are you guys doing? It's the same team, but we have to have the leader.
Yeah.
You have to have that person who's just guiding us. So
Yeah.
it everything can be done.
I've learned this lesson in business. You know, I've heard this saying before. It's not how, but who. You need to find the right who to figure, you know, to fix the problem that you're having. But I've also learned that you have to have an awareness to some degree of the how, so that you hire the right who and you empower
Hmm.
them and help them own whatever role they're filling. Because early days in my business, when I started, what is it, 12 years ago now, um, yeah, we would just hire who's, and it was almost a revolving door of like, well, that didn't get fixed right, or the result didn't happen that we wanted, because we didn't really dig into the problem and try to figure out, okay, well, who's the right person for this thing, rather than just, I'm going to put a warm body in this, and they'll figure it out. No, you have
And
to
that's
have some awareness to what you're hiring for.
exactly. That's what we do. I mean, traditionally, especially for front office, I wouldn't say
Yeah, front
clinical. Like
office is a big
there's a
one.
lot more uh, there's a lot more clarity around clinical team. But when we hire front office, we tend to hire really nice people
Right.
and they're good with people. That does not mean they're the great ones to collect money. That does not mean that they are great at training your patients on showing up for their appointments. Like we have to be
Or
skilled,
best practices on like handling questions on the phone the right way so you don't lose the appointment. Even though they're a
right?
people person, there's a way to handle that call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard people in the office go, "Oh, well, I know that John down the street's doing whitening. Why don't you call them? We don't do that exact whitening." Like, what? Stop. Don't
No.
send them away, but
Right.
they're just being helpful. And
They're
so
right.
we have to set them up with clear expectations on how to answer a call. And honestly, the only training I received other than how to do the revenue cycle was really what I was trained on. But I was first on the phones. Nobody told me that the goal of the phone call of a shopper was to get them on the schedule. Nobody, like, okay, that's basic. We should have told this 25-year-old
That's your
kid,
main job.
yeah, your main goal is to get them in the schedule and
Get them
here's
in
your
the schedule.
toolkit. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's we have so many more opportunities now for front office training. We've got ADOM, we've got all kinds of different groups and availability of speakers to help them. But it is, just that simple. Here's how I want you to answer the phone, and here's the goal. And if they ask you this, here's how you should do it. But that comes back to training. That comes back to having time to train. It's easier if we have SOPs. And people are like, why do I even need to write down how to answer the phone? Well, you just fired a girl because she didn't answer the phone that you wanted her to, but you never told her how you wanted
Right.
her to answer the phone. See a
Yeah.
problem there? Like
Yeah.
it's just kind of helping them get righted, get on the train track. They're all aligned. They're headed in the same direction, and then how they show up, the energy that they have, is what pushes them forward.
I love that. Yeah, we have a tool called CallCat, which categorizes the calls. That's why we call it CallCat. There's an AI behind it that reads the transcriptions of the calls, and it puts it into different buckets whenever a patient doesn't schedule as to why the patient doesn't schedule. Super helpful and gives great clarity to the office manager and the front desk of like, here's, okay, if booking rate is 20%, or if we don't even know what our booking rate is, here's what you need to do to get it to 30, 40, 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
AI is phenomenal. I mean,
yeah.
think of that change, the amount of time that I took documenting phone calls that I had in patient charts,
It's wild. Yeah.
astronomical. And if we don't document it, it didn't happen, right? Like
Yeah.
if anybody's ever been involved in a lawsuit, if you don't have it documented, you're toast, right? Like you have to show all your due diligence. And so to have AI now that is just that feedback, that instant feedback, you
There's
did
so
this and this
much.
great with
Yeah.
your call, but here's where you have an opportunity. That's huge. The conversation, and you and I were talking about this prior too, was, if a doc is going to hire a marketing company, I really hope that they take the time to talk to their team who are answering the calls to know what's the message that we're sending out? How are we going to accommodate those patients? What's the goal? Do they have the ability to say, oh, I can absolutely give you a free consultation for this. This is a second opinion. Let's get you in the schedule here. Like if we don't let our
Yeah.
team know what power they have to be
Yeah.
able to get that call converted, we're missing those opportunities. And patients only know one question: do you take my insurance? That's a tough one because my clients, I'd rather them say, we are not we're not in network.
Yeah. Fee for
I want
service
them
is the
skilled
big
to be
thing
able to
now.
answer
Yeah.
that. How do we, oh my gosh, you've come
How
to
do we
the
convert
right
those?
place. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's intentional training, getting those calls converted despite us not being in network. But that is the only question patients know how to answer.
Yeah.
Or we haven't really scheduled intentionally and doc is booked for 3 months, which
Yeah.
sounds
What are the
really
columns
good.
like? Right.
But their profitability is non-existent, but he's booked for 3 months. We need to have a conversation about your schedule, and we need to craft your schedule to be able to convert those new patients, because it doesn't matter how much your marketing generates if they don't have somewhere to put that patient in the very near future. They're going to lose them. So
Yeah.
there's a little bit with every different system that we're looking
There's so
at.
much to operating a super successful practice like the one I was talking about. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And we see it all the time, right? Marketing can do so much to get the lead to call the practice or even to schedule online. But what happens after that appointment or even getting the appointment? Like what happens with the team? And is there a good integration with the marketing team?
Right.
Is there a good
And
handoff? Is everybody on the same page? Is it
And
humming
let's
along?
even if we get that lined up and that is smooth sailing, like we're hitting that doc may still not fill the ROI of
Mm,
your marketing if they're not collecting.
right.
And that's that
Case
we have to
acceptance is
go
huge,
back, right? We
and
have to go
collections
back and
is
go,
huge.
yeah, if that's how I determine my success, is are they collecting more over last year at this time? Like
Yeah,
that's that growth, it's the profitability. Can't just be a production and a collection number. Like that sounds great, but what's your overhead and what's your profitability and what are you paying your team and
yeah,
where are your fixed variable, all of these different pieces that come into play. And if we need to really kind of have a conversation with Mary, who's been doing collections for 30 years, but we've got $100,000 in the over 90 days, and she doesn't
yeah.
call and work those because she's friends with everybody, so it's uncomfortable.
It's
We
yeah,
need to
yeah,
have a pause and go back to, okay, how can we solve this problem in a different way? Because they're not ever going to feel the ROI from marketing if they're not collecting anymore, even if they're
yeah.
producing more. Like, and
No,
I've had docs say, I can produce 3,000 an hour. Well, good for you. How often do you do it? And then what are they
what's
collecting?
collections?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. There's so much that goes into successful practice management, And that's why I love having consultants on the show like you, Callie, and the expertise you bring. I know we're out of time. I wish we could go even deeper on the marketing side of things like we talked about, but that's okay. We can, maybe we do another one down the road. But
Absolutely.
if people want to work with you or they want to find out more about your process, if they're a good fit, how can they get a hold of you?
Pretty easy. My company is -dentalconsulting.com. My email is -dentalconsulting@gmail. And I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, and really reach out. I have a calendar link that I'll send you. Grab some time. I want to know that we fit well together. I think it's always awesome for my strengths to be maybe what your weaknesses are in the dental practice. So really strong in the front office, case acceptance, communication skills, those kind of things. And then we just kind of dive in. We can pull your data, take a look at it, and see where your opportunities would be and if it would be beneficial.
I love that. We'll put it in the show notes. So if you're driving or you're not able to write it down, check out marketing32.com for the episode with Callie Ward, and you'll find all of that there. But Callie, this was a great conversation. Thank you for coming on today.
Appreciate it. So fun. Good to see you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Hope you had some value from this. I certainly did. I learned some things. Like we said, check out marketing32.com if you need help with growth in your practice. We do it ethically. We don't charge people if we're not generating result, and we track all of that results through some integrations we have with the PMS, so we can map the whole marketing equation from dollars spent to production generated. So thank you again for tuning in. Callie, thank you for being on the show, and everybody have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Brett.